here. Environmentalist, human rights activist, two-spirit transgender icon, LGBTQIA, 2+ advocate, and a disabled veteran with PTSD from military sexual trauma. It is Memorial Day, and earlier in a previous podcast, I didn't even mention it. As a veteran, I should have brought it up, but I said I needed to find the words to discuss what that day means to me. Growing up in America, it is very easy to see that holiday as a day to go shopping, a day to get extra savings on washing machines and dryers. It's a day to go to your favorite restaurant and get a little bit of a discount. The only problem is that they don't treat Veterans Day or Memorial Day as a day to truly celebrate heroes. There are some people who do. There are some people who, visit where veterans are buried and pay their remembrances. There are people who speak about the bravery of veterans and soldiers. But the vast majority of the people who celebrate this day consider it just a day off. Just a reminder that summer is right around the corner. It's grilling season. And that makes me sad. So very, very sad. I think that if you truly care about veterans, you truly care about fallen soldiers and their families, then you would consider something like change.org/Save American Veterans. It's a petition to put into law an excise tax of 2% or more, where if you went to McDonald's and you bought $1.99 chicken nuggets, I know they're not $1.99. I just love the mouth. The mouth is so beautiful. And then they do all the tax for it. 2 extra cents on that. 2 extra cents. Or maybe 5 cents. Because when you normally pay taxes, they go to the Veteran Affairs. The Veteran Affairs are taking that money and they're paying their employees. Now, if you work for Veteran Affairs, of course you should be paid, but you're paid specifically to tell veterans no. You're paid specifically to hold up veterans, whether you admit it or not. My paperwork was lost for a year. Lost. A whole year where they were saying, oh, we need more evidence. We need doctors to verify everything. My paperwork was right there in your hands. And I knew that this was important document. So I sent it twice. I had to go all the way to the federal building. I went to the fucking FBI building to get this done. Because I told the FBI, there's something fucking going on here that a veteran can't get their benefits. There's some sort of internal affairs that needs to be done at the VA. They don't want to do any of that. But either way, instead of paying these government agencies, why don't you just pay veterans? Why don't you just say, if you truly care about veterans, you pay them? All right, let's go into some of these comments. You're awesome, bro. Keep it up. Thank you so much. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Raul, hello, Raul. Said hi. Very nice to meet you. That guy is kind of rude, but I've spoken the same exact way for, I don't mind saying my age, 40 years. 40 years of English, because my father is, and my mother married him, and my mother wasn't some country bumpkin. She was an educated woman who made a choice and said, I don't want no scrubs. And so she married a Brit. And after decades of living with him, she sounded English too. I had an English family. What am I supposed to fucking say to you people? I know I'm an American, I was born here, but I have an English family. What am I supposed to say? It happens. It's the same exact thing as if you came from Bangladesh. You can go to fucking school and they can whitewash you there. That shit had no fucking effect on me. So I do sound extremely white in my own way, but what does that really fucking mean if you say stuff like that? Because there are plenty of people of color who live in the United Kingdom now, live throughout the world, who sound exactly like me. Just accept it. And if you can't accept it, then I don't know, like and subscribe to my channel. Okay, let me read some of these. How are you, honey? Oh, Peter, you're being very, very nice there. Ecstasy is one hell of a drug. Do you like that? Because I do LSD deaf music videos on X. If you follow me, it's the same name, XIlyana. Follow me on X if you want to read my deaf music videos. A dude's on PCP. I don't think anybody on PCP is that coherent and careful with their words, but either way. Amen, brother. Big Mac, amen to the awakening that I need all veterans to have. I was encouraged by one of the people in the chat to go to a veteran event, go to, celebrate Memorial Day with my own people, veterans. But no, the reason why I don't do that, because that event, whatever it is, it's a slap in the face of veterans. It looks like charity, smells like charity, but it's not charity, it's pity. It's guilt. It's guilt because you have homeless veterans coming to you saying, I don't have clothes on my back, I have holes in my socks, I don't have clean underwear. Will you, as an American citizen, give me the dignity of giving me a fresh pair? Or even worse, it's a bunch of hungry veterans who don't have the ability to afford food. I'm starving right now. I'm starving. I don't have any real food in the house right now. I'm trying to make do with what I have. It's not enough. It really isn't. I'm dizzy all the time. I'm lightheaded. I have a headache. But I'm not going to put myself through the humiliation of asking these people for help when they know that the real help is the money that is owed to veterans. $72 billion to 18 estimated million veterans. That's not coming out of your pocket, really. It really isn't. Because A lot of people, they take pennies, which is still legal currency in the United States. You know what they do? They chuck it, or they say, you can keep the change. You can keep the change. And the people behind the counter, you know what they say? Gee, thanks. Thanks a bunch. Thanks a bunch for donating your pennies to me. I'm a veteran. I could use some pennies. I could use a penny or two. Yeah. Because the way that the American government has structured, they've made a giant business out of hiring sometimes former veterans and say, we would like you to be on the phone harassing and psychologically torturing veterans. We'd like you to psychologically torture and harass veterans who, for the most part, are older, broken, they've got disabilities, they hurt all the time, and tell them, nah, you're in the development phase, or oh, you lost your paperwork. Tough, bro, tough. And that's the attitude that they have. I like a beard. I'm into bearded guys. I'm not into bearded ladies, but I do love the Bare Naked Ladies. They're a great band. Where was I going with this? Yeah, I love my beard. There were times, and you can look at my discography, where I shaved my beard and did my hair all fancy like. But I have such terrible PTSD. I'm sorry, I can't go to Applebee's right now. I can't afford it, actually. So, double whammy. Let's go into some of these comments. Branch is Air Force, integrated avionics, communications, navigation. So I am an aircraft engineer, which is why I have change.org/genius to Mars, where I challenge President Trump on his space program. And also SpaceX, obviously. All right. If you want to see my DD-214, good luck to you. I have given it to several government agencies already. It's well documented. If you want to see proof that I'm a veteran, I literally put that as an album cover. So everyone will know that I'm a veteran. Cool? All right. Okay, your peers have a bigger influence on how you talk than your parents do. You must have had no friends. We spoke Spanish at home in addition to English and French. So, yeah. The only girl that I was involved with during that time period, that critical time period, she spoke Spanish, and we preferred to speak Spanish to each other because it was an easy language for the two of us. And we just said, fuck it, we want to speak English, we'll speak English, but if we both speak Spanish, we'll speak Spanish to each other. So there was never a reason to. And no, I did not consider anybody my fucking peer. I was top of my class in many aspects. So, no. All right. Same age, we old as dirt. Oh, do not get me started. This is one of the major reasons why I'm trying to get benefits to veterans now. Because I am 40 and I still get acne. I don't look terrible. I look terrible because I have PTSD and I'm trying to fucking repel women. Like, I could look like a teen heartthrob if I wanted, but the only problem is that brings women towards you. I don't want that. I don't want that because the women who run towards you like that, they don't have the fucking willpower to stop groping. Give them an inch, they take a mile. Which is why when I'm on public transportation and someone says hello to me, my only response has to be, I am a veteran who just screams. Just screams like a banshee. Because that's the only way to pretty much definitively say, fuck off, without saying fuck off to a complete stranger. How often do you do LSD? I cannot talk about that. I'm sorry. Fucking A. I can't fucking speak. Don Null. Hi. I am trying to get through some of this. I've got my medical documents. I'm not going to go over every single thing because I believe in a little bit of privacy. What is known is known. And what else, if you feel that inclined to question me, it's called a Freedom of Information letter. And the reason why I want you to be able to do that is because freedom is a skill in America. They teach you everything. They teach you your multiplication tables and how to divide. They don't teach you how to exercise your freedoms in America as an adult. Because even as a teenager, you can still write a letter to the government and say, hey, I had a question about that for something I want to report on. Can you give me that data in order to make a more informed decision as a person? Because a lot of people, you have decisions made for you and then you never do anything about it. Personally, I'm doing more research in Proposition 65 and I'm going to do a petition for it, but I'm so caught up in my fucking PTSD that it's hard to shake myself out of it to bring myself to do yet another petition. But Proposition 65 here in California says that if there's anything wrong with the food that you're about to purchase, they have to let you know. In California, that's a wonderful thing because you get to make an informed decision. It still leads to really poor choices. It really does. Because if you're an American and you're so poor that you have to say, for the savings, I'm willing to imbibe arsenic. I'm willing to imbibe cadmium, mercury, or lead because it's cheaper and I have to save money on food. Then what choice do you really have? Now, you can have a problem with transgender people, you can have a problem with veterans, you can have a problem with immigrants. I have a problem that in California, they would rather say there is a known toxic chemical in the soil where your food is grown than say, well, maybe we shouldn't grow it in that. Do you get that? Do you get, what it means to be a veteran and how you might just want to pay veterans because civilians, they don't fight for the country. They don't. And I am pissed and I am really angry and I have every right to be angry at the whole United States for sexually abusing me at Lackland. I have every right. I have every right to curse Air Force every day. Curse them out. Say, fuck you, Air Force. I have every right to say that. But while I say that, I'm also going to say, sorry. I'm also going to say, that's weird, whatever. I'm also going to say, I am fighting for all of America. Because even though you are all cowards for not fighting for your country, maybe you're just too busy. Maybe you got your own shit to deal with. But you need a hero, and I will wear a dress or a Scottish kilt or whatever I feel comfortable, but that's what I am. So I'm going to speak to lawmakers and get that bill re-examined, because that's what you do as an American citizen. You don't just complain to your doctor, hey, I've got cancer. You ask questions of why. You ask questions of how. And if you don't, I will. Because I think American public health is a valid issue. I think American public health is an important thing to talk about. So that's just what I do. I'm going to go back into this is my spirit animal. Well, this is mine. Isn't she beautiful? She's beautiful. It does cost the taxpayers. You know, I really should feel bad about that, but I'm not. I'm not, because it costs the taxpayers more to have to deal with the medical burden of veterans. It's a huge medical burden to have veterans shambling their way through life begging for fucking change. I'm more of the let's just get them the fucking help they need and let them live their life. There's some that would receive their disability benefits and say, you know what, I'm going to start a restaurant. I'm a chef, I would love to start a restaurant. There are some who say, I'll start my own farm and just live off the land that way. I'm a veteran, I have PTSD, you know, I've got injuries. I would feel more comfortable doing that. Great. Here's the money, go do that. There are veterans who say, I'm going to go to Vegas and spend it on hookers and cocaine. I don't agree with that, but fuck it, you know, live your life. Because right now there are homeless veterans sleeping on heating grates. Well, maybe not in the summer. That would be a little weird. But during winter, there are veterans who would do something like that. And it's just, you couldn't afford a home. You couldn't afford a bed in a homeless shelter for a veteran. You have such little worth to yourself that you didn't even put in a claim, or it's too traumatic for you to put in a claim. Like my situation is I have PTSD from a female master sergeant sexually abusing me, using her rank to sexually abuse me. So I don't want to have females anywhere near me. I don't want to have them touching me. I don't want to have them interacting with me. I don't live in a one gender society. So I have put in explicit writing, I don't want that. It is medically harmful for that to be a situation for me. The VA, on the other hand, has said, no, we're going to take every opportunity to shove women on you, watch you scream. I remember I had a concussion from one of the locals here gay bashing me, punching me, kicking me, calling me a faggot. And I had to go to the VA because the sheriff and the fire department wouldn't take me to the hospital. Even though there was a hospital literally across the street, they wouldn't even do that. So I had to go all the way to the VA. And then the VA, it took forever to get it done. But they gave me an MRI. But while I'm in that MRI, I hear a woman over the microphone say, "Be still, don't move." And that triggers me. But I have to sit through that because I need to know if my brain is bleeding. It's a life or death situation. And I've even said in my affidavit, if I am unconscious or it is life or death, fuck it. Obviously, my will to live is higher than my PTSD. But I lost a little something in that moment. I really did. And America could give me the dignity of the money I need to have my own place. Because the reason why I was out on the street at that time was because my apartment door locked itself. And so I had no choice but to be in that kind of situation where I could be gay bashed, because if you were in your own apartment or house, it's a little hard to gay bash you. I mean, you might get that through the internet, but sticks and stones, baby, sticks and stones. You are all the way over there with your fucking homophobia and transphobia, and I'm here. It does hurt, but it's not the same exact thing as being punched and kicked while being called a faggot for being transgender. So, on that respect, I don't see why it is so hard for veterans to get their benefits. I think when you sum it up of, gee, this person really has PTSD. They scream on the fucking bus and the train. They have problems, going through a lobby because women are blocking their way. They have problems with women trying to break into their apartment. My pronouns are they, them. I rock a beard, but my pronouns are they, them. It's just what it is. Give a veteran their benefits. Why? Because you know what that veteran's going to do? They're going to try and heal. And right now, I would like to heal. Because I don't like being the type of person who says, well, all women are bad. All women are rapists. All women are lecherous fools who would grope a disabled veteran. I don't like that. I would rather be at home or be in a town that you probably can't guarantee every single person, but there's a certain vibe there where, for the most part, women just leave you alone. They get it. There's an aura that pours off you and they just fucking get it. They give you your space. And for me, that was Texas. Did I have perfect communication with females there? No, there were some times when, there were PTSD flare-ups because of the actions of a woman. But I lived there long enough that I could say, women leave me the fuck alone. And they picked up on that, and they did. And when I did have to engage with them, it was short, it was brief, and we kept it moving. And there was a distance there. And they picked up on that. They picked up on, yeah, you don't come close to that person because they're a disabled veteran and they have PTSD. So, we're going to be over here. But we'll, if you need to talk to us, you talk to us. But, we'll respect your boundaries. We won't touch you. We won't, bother you. I come to Los Angeles and I have women running up to me on a bus. I have women sexually harassing me on the bus, telling me I'm beautiful. And no, thank you. Let me get into some comments there. Thank you, Motion, for being a good moderator there. Appreciate you. Spanish too much. It's too much for me. It's too much for me. I described in my last podcast how it's hard to talk about my sexual abuse. It's hard to talk about what it means to have PTSD. Because all I do right now, because I have no money and have no way to live a life separate from other people, I spend my day podcasting, petitioning the government in order to make change in America, and scrubbing my skin raw all day. All day. Just scrubbing my skin after being sexually abused. It happened 7 years ago. I haven't stopped. Thank you, Logical. It was wrong what happened to me, and it didn't have to happen because I was already injured. I was on crutches around that time. And Master Sergeant Miranda shouldn't have even been anywhere near me because I told the commander of the base, send me home. And he said no. If he had sent me home, I would have been able to spend maybe one last day with my mother who passed away instead of being sexually abused and forever being estranged from the rest of my family who care, but they'll never have the patience to deal with a broken veteran who contributes nothing because they are so psychologically damaged that they're a burden. They're an eyesore. Do you think my family wants to see me like this? Disheveled? They miss me so much, but I'm lost. I'm forever changed by what happened to me. Thank you, Motion, for describing what happened to me. Thank you. Truth, being poor. I'm not going to read that. If you disagree with what I'm saying, Woody, You're entitled to your opinion. I encourage you to make your own podcast if you disagree with what I'm saying, because I think what I'm saying makes a lot more sense than having veterans walking around like zombies instead of heroes saying, "Can you spare a dollar? Can you spare a dollar?" Does that sound right to you? You know, these people do combat tours, they lose friends, they lose limbs, and their whole existence is, "Can you spare a dollar?" Does that sound right to you? I don't think it's right. I'm moving to San Diego this summer. I want you to think about that. I talk a lot about California. California is just, it's a trap. It's really a trap because the sun itself is a lot, it's a lot closer at the equator. So you're gonna fucking have to wear sunscreen. You're gonna have to deal with traffic. You're gonna have to deal with smog. And yeah, you're gonna have to deal with homeless meth addicts who may or may not be veterans. But either way, you gotta deal with that because that's the county of Los Angeles. I came to Los Angeles because I said, you know what, I need the beach. I need to hear some ocean waves. I need to just go skateboarding and, you know, get my head right. Instead of that, I got moved to a reservation without it actually being a reservation. It's one of those political, gerrymandered kind of fucking areas where people said it's this, and it's just not a place that I want to be in. I have every right to complain about the Air Force sexually abusing me. Sexual abuse and rape is always wrong. And if you don't feel that way, then I feel sorry for you. Humans do wrong. I see it every day. But what do you do about it? Do you speak up about it? Because I'm speaking up about it. It pisses people off that I speak up about it because, you know, you're supposed to be the strong person. You're a military serviceman. You're supposed to be strong. How strong are you when you have someone who outranks you demanding a sexual act, and then you turn to your own fellow airman, Airman Rose, and say, go for help, and they would rather stand at attention. And then he tells you, because he wants to be an asshole about it, he tells you that he actually got the job he wanted. So, I have every right to be angry at the Air Force, every right, and hate them forever, absolutely forever. Air Force owes me another apology. They need to take responsibility for my PTSD and military sexual trauma. They need to pay me, they need to pay every single one of the victims of military sexual trauma. What part of the military says that you can rape a fellow American? What part of that? Because I didn't read that part. I didn't. But this happens in the Air Force, it happens in the Navy, it happens in the Marines, it happens in every branch. You get a lot of people, they're aggressive, and you know they're feeling the power that comes with wearing the uniform, and they think they can do anything. Because the government rubber stamps it every single time. Instead of investigating rape, instead of investigating sexual assaults, instead of investigating sexual abuse, they would rather exit the serviceman who's been raped or sexually abused or sexually assaulted out of the military and then promote the attacker. Jennifer, you make an interesting point. You have to talk about the why and how does something like this happen. In the case of Master Sergeant Miranda, I'm pretty sure she was just ordered to do that. But maybe someone hurt her. Maybe the only way that she can get back at whatever man abused her, and I don't know, she might have been raped herself. She might have been sexually abused. She might have been harassed, had to deal for years with men putting her down. Instead of acting with honor, she chose to be an attacker. It's a learned behavior. People don't rape just because it's an opportunity to do so. They do it because they learn that behavior from someone else. So shame on the military for that. Shame on them. On this Memorial Day where, I should think of, all of our fallen soldiers and everything, I'm really trying to think about the rest of the military community, the servicemen and the veterans who have to live with pain and injury and in some cases, the shame, and I don't think they should feel ashamed, but they have to deal with just the psychological damage of what it means to be raped or sexually abused or sexually assaulted. I'm glad you brought that up, Jennifer, and please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. I'm glad you brought up that Stephen King novel. When civilians rape, it's because they want to assert power. When you're raped or sexually assaulted or sexually abused in the military, it's because they're trying to destabilize you in order to psychologically manipulate you, keep you from living a life. I mean, you talk about the money that is owed to veterans. What about our time? What about our families? Are our families supposed to suffer because we were hurt? I live alone. I live utterly alone, except for this lovely girl right here. But I live alone. So no wife, no kids of my own. And that's sad. That's sad because I'm very much bisexual. I'm very much bisexual. And when I think of my ideal partner, I don't think about a dude. I think about a woman. A woman who is compassionate, strong, confident, and well educated. But I can't even speak to a woman right now because of the level of PTSD I have. So that door is closed. You was abused as an adult? Yes. an adult in the military. And no, motion, this isn't about sympathy. This isn't about sympathy at all. This is about justice. Justice for veterans. You don't have to sympathize me, but America does have to pay me. And every single one of the victims of military sexual trauma. Hi G, I'm from Los Angeles. I live here. And thank you for the necklace. And yeah, so the earrings are from my tribe, but this is just a bohemian necklace that kind of matches it. So it's kind of in the style of my people, kind of not. At this point, I don't fucking care. It's what I can afford. If I could afford to buy more jewelry from my own tribe, I would. Because right now I feel more Native American, First Nation, First People, Indigenous than a modern American. I'm gonna read that. If this man keeps looking at his camera with those dreamy eyes, he's gonna find himself in a cuddle fight. Oh my goodness. I don't look into the camera because I don't want to seem like, I'm trying to, be attractive or anything. But I should learn to look into the camera. I don't know what's wrong with me. I should just speak into a camera and learn how to do that. I keep doing these podcasts, but then I stare at everything except the camera. I'm really bad at this. Please bear with me. I will try and learn how to speak into a camera. I get where you're coming from, but there's a threshold when you gotta set the whining aside, man up life. James, I don't actually disagree with your statement, but I have to just maybe correct you a bit. I have PTSD from being sexually abused by the United States Air Force. That means nightmares, that means screaming, it means a lot. So I already have that. On top of that, I also live in a city where the women at any time feel encouraged to grab my genitals. So you want to talk about moving on? I want to talk about keep your fucking hands to yourself. You want me to move on? Fucking pay me so I can fucking move on. Because my version of moving on is I live here and the rest of you live there. Whatever you want to do it over there. Wow, that is the most racist thing I have ever read. Wow, you are a special person. Cuddle juice, are you a top or a bottom? I consider myself versatile. In the right situation, I'm into just giving pleasure and taking pleasure and listening to my partner. Yeah, right now I live as a nun. I won't even say a monk because those monks were fucking everybody. They're like, we're having a party, and the peasants were like, Father Thomas and Father Harris are so close. So close. Go through the I'm not going to talk about that. Veterans shouldn't pay taxes at all. In some cases, they don't. They don't pay real estate taxes in most states. The only problem is none of us have real estate. So it's a moot point. It's a moot point to say that, oh, we won't pay, real estate tax. Oh, that's right. Well, we don't have real estate, so there is no tax. There's no better place than Texas. I don't know. I kind of fell in love with Texas, and I feel sorry that I moved away. My problem was I'm a little too, without even trying, a little too Hollywood for Texas. And my problem of being in Hollywood is I'm a little too Texas for Hollywood. I'd rather walk around like a bearded countryman than a fucking wax doll for LA. Fighting for your country's political gains and expecting to be treated like a hero is mad. All right, well, I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to fight for American justice. And since that is a great opportunity to talk about change.org/Kentucky Needs You. Change.org/Kentucky Needs You is a petition I have to stop water contamination in Eastern Kentucky. Senate Bill 89 is aimed at eroding environmental protection for rural Kentuckians. Please consider signing that petition so that people in Eastern Kentucky can safely drink their groundwater and have water sent to them during this crisis. They're American citizens. Please help them. I know a lot of people came into this chat to troll a transgender person. Please put that aside and just be a decent human being. Sign that petition. I haven't been to Michigan. I really should explore America. Going through some of these comments, I'm sorry. It takes so long. Sorry for your trauma, Jose. You don't have a good outlook on it. I don't have a good outlook on it either. But because of America's attitude toward military sexual trauma victims like myself, I'm not going to do anything except say America lost a customer. That's all. You want me to buy your movies, you want me to buy your television, you want me to spend my money on iPhones and things that I can't afford when I don't have my disability benefits. You lost a customer. Nothing against those products. Those products serve a lot of people very well. But if I can't afford it, I can't afford it. So no more Netflix, no more Prime Video. Really, because I don't do commercials. No Hulu, no Disney, nothing. You lost a customer. And eventually, should I raise my kids, they're not going to be customers of you either. That's all. They're not going to go to your schools. They're not going to buy your clothes. They're not going to watch your music videos. They're not going to do any of it. They're not going to listen to your music. You've lost an entire family of customers because you sexually abused me, America. That's all. That is horrible. It is good you were talking about it instead of holding it in. The reason why I have to talk about it is because there are so many veterans like myself who don't. They do what I do, which is they scour themselves or they hit their head. I hit my head often. I have a little dent in my head because I keep hitting my head because of the PTSD. But they never talk about it. They drink. They drink and they scream. And nobody cares. Nobody cares in America because that's not your problem. It didn't happen to you. So, as broken as I am, as traumatized as I am, and as much as I would love to just get off YouTube and be alone, someone has to stand up for them. Someone. And I guess that's me. The military sexual trauma spokesperson who really doesn't want to be a spokesperson because every time I talk about it, it hurts. Every time. LOL, stay single. That's a 1 in a million find. It's not impossible. There are several women in America who fit that exact description and they're beautiful. But I have PTSD, so it's a little hard to break that barrier. And LA is trying its fucking hardest. It is throwing women at me. I need some time with a whole medical team where I can get the help I need, because right now that's impossible. You're a victim. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm also a victim that fights back. How common is it to get raped in the army? I can't speak to actual statistics. Don't come forward. They just push it away to a corner of their mind where it happened to someone else. So the numbers are probably a lot higher than what the statistics could ever tell. What do you want to be paid? I want my country. I want America to be a country that I could be proud of. A country where if you took your kids to the movie, you knew your kids were coming back. Or if you sent your kids to school, you knew they were coming back. And maybe it's because I'm very keen on being a decent father, but I live in a country where I see a lot of parents doing everything right, everything. But the world is a very scary place. And bad things happen to good people. I think America has to change. I think America has to change its attitude on pollution. I'm an environmentalist and I can't expect people to go hug a tree like I do. But could you maybe consider that every time you use a car filled with petroleum, it's chemical warfare. It's chemical warfare against American citizens, by American citizens. Which is really confusing. Really, really confusing. Thank you, Richard. I speak Ian. That's the only way I can say it. I had mates from all over the world, and I sound a little bit like them because those were my peers. Oh, the quest, I have no doubt that that's an issue. Yeah, here you are on an American platform. I'm speaking my mind. What am I supposed to do? You know, ignore the fact that people in America are suffering? That I spoke about it in the last podcast, but I'll say it again. What is going on in America where you can't be at home at 6 o'clock having dinner with your family? What is going on with America that they would rather do overtime to pay for things instead of realizing that maybe they need a better job, or maybe they need to not have a job and focus on what's right in front of them? The American family is being dissolved, and a lot of people are blaming gays and lesbians and transgender people for it. I think you're just imploding from within, from the crushing weight of trying to keep up with the Joneses and, you know, keep up on the latest gadgets, keep up on the latest shows and movies and things like that. And I love the entertainment business because they are a reimagining of several books that I love. And they give you insight into things that, if you are someone who excels in critical thinking, can pick up and apply it as a life lesson. Even if it's a show like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Charmed. The only problem is, if you spend all your time watching people pretend to have a life, then you don't have a life. I talk about my PTSD being a barrier to finding a partner. I think that's a barrier for a lot of people. This whole idea of that box that sits in everyone's house or apartment, filled with beautiful people with makeup, obviously wearing makeup. And you look at your own life and say, I don't have makeup, I don't have magic powers, I don't have, you know, witty things to say because a writer wrote it for that actor or actress. So I'll give up. I'll just sit here, I'll eat popcorn. And instead of going on a hike, going to the gym and maybe bumping into someone who might be a good friend, or maybe a lover, or maybe just a stranger who says hello to you. That's what's become of America. I think there's something wrong there, and I definitely believe that there has to be a way to get people dialed back into their lives. And it can't just be, well, we're going to keep most of the veterans broke so they don't fall into this, how do I even put this? Cybernetic parasite, which is what technology has become. Literally leeching the life out of you. Every time you stare into a cell phone, every time you stare at a television screen. It shuts off your brain. It shuts off your arse. So it shuts you off. But oh well, that's just what I think. Ether, what happened to make you not ready to date, if you don't mind me asking? I've been sexually abused by the United States Air Force. Master Sergeant Miranda sexually abused me at Lackland Air Force Base. Since then, I've had crippling PTSD. I've been homeless. And right now, I'm putting on a brave face. I'm really putting on a brave face. Because I want to shave my beard and pluck myself like a little peacock and make myself beautiful again. But that's hard to do when I have women trying to break into my apartment. That's hard to do when I have women running up to me and harassing me on public. It's hard to do, and so I don't. And there are some people who will see this and say, love me anyway. But then there are also some who see this and say, ugh, looks terrible. And I don't blame them. It deserves someone who isn't as broken and damaged as I am to love. They won't find a better poet or more romantic singer, talented musician. They won't find that. But they deserve to be happy, so they're just not going to be happy with me. If you are proud, find a new country. I'm glad you mentioned that. That is why I have a case with the United Nations Human Rights Commission to investigate everything that the United States has done to psychologically torture me, isolate me, and manipulate me. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about is how we need land established somewhere to establish a gay, lesbian, transgender country. "20 push-ups. I am an emaciated veteran right now who hasn't had a decent meal in, I want to say, weeks. I couldn't do one, but I do like a challenge. So I will try one, not on camera because I'm not going to embarrass myself as a weak transgender person who used to be a veteran bodybuilder. But with all of my PTSD, it's hard to go to a gym. Also, I couldn't afford a gym membership. Hello, Outdoor Fam. Glad to see you here. You're the one that stated America lost a customer and you weren't going to buy American, yet you are on an American platform feeding the machine. Let YouTube put advertisements in front of my channel. Let them do that. I don't give a shit, because if I can reach 1 or 2 people to wake them up that they're being screwed in their own country out of life, love, and happiness. I mean, it's true. I love Bridgerton. I really do. And Bridgerton is one of the rare shows that said, we know you love this shit too. You love period films and television shows. You eat this shit up. Guess what? We'll do a whole event where if you dress up in Victorian style, you might meet a lord or a duke of your own, or a duchess. You might find yourself a queen. Because don't you deserve to find that? And that's why I'm not that mad at Netflix or Disney or Marvel. I'll still read Marvel comic books. I love comic books. And I miss seeing Yelena and Bucky and all the rest. But I just can't afford your stuff anymore. I really can't. And I need to spend my time doing something else. Maybe going on a date that doesn't involve that. Just living a life. I'm going to read what you said there, Allington. When I was young, all the family would sit and have dinner together every day. Not so much now. That is an issue. Eating together in any sitting means that you have unity. And you want to talk about the United States? How often are you eating together at all? Because when you go to a restaurant, what does the restaurant do? They say you want a booth, you want a table, or do you want to sit at the bar? The people who sit at the bar, for the most part, they want to sit by themselves and not talk to people. They most likely want to drink and not talk to people. The people in the booths, well, they want to talk to the people in the booth. The people in the tables, for the most part, it's as if no one else is there. Restaurants used to be pubs. They used to be taverns. The difference between a restaurant and a tavern is a group, a whole group of a community eating and drinking, laughing and having a good time together. It doesn't matter who's your best friend, you're all friends in this. When you go to a restaurant, it's me and whoever I brought with me, and then that is it. The rest of these people are strangers who annoy me. Which is why taverns usually have music, or an Irish pub usually has a fiddle player. Why? Because the music is loud and it just tells people, shut the fuck up, listen to the music, tap your feet, dance, drink, and get away from your fucking troubles. Just enjoy life. Hi, bro. Hi. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm reading what that person said. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you British, mate? I am a half-blood prince. That's the only way I can put it, where my father is and I was born here, so I don't have any of the fucking luxury of just saying, dual citizenship, let me just go where I'm fucking appreciated, or I can fucking speak the Queen's in English as much as possible and just not be looked at as if I'm a dragon. If you really wanted a better life, you'd figure a way, but you think you deserve or are entitled to it, you're limiting yourself in love and money or whatever you're yapping about. The problem that I have with going for life and love and all of that, we have bigger issues as a country. Big issues, such as biological warfare being used against America. We have chemical warfare being used against America. When you have foreign countries adding arsenic to their food that you purchase as an American citizen, that's almost a declaration of war. It takes money to make change in America, unfortunately. I don't have any money, so I have to use speaking and the freedom of speech in order to tell people you need to make some changes. Thank you, AC. That's kind of nice to say that. I am trying to stay focused on solving the world's problems, which is why I write a lot of petitions. Some are very successful. My change.org/man's best friend is a dog is a petition that I have to train service animals and then give them to veterans. Take them out of shelters and give them homes. Not enough people signed that petition. I wonder why. There are stray dogs all throughout the city. There are stray dogs who need homes. They're clearly intelligent, clearly love humans, and would love to be adopted. There was a beautiful Belgian Malinois just running through the neighborhood. Nobody claimed it. That's that. That's a beautiful dog. I love that breed, but can you imagine something like that just sitting in a shelter and no one coming by to say, I'll be yours and you'll be mine? That's sad. How many veterans feel that way too? I think between the two groups of shelter dogs and homeless veterans and veterans in general, they have a lot of commonality and they could benefit from each other. It's a lovely petition. Change.org/man's best friend is a dog. I agree, and I think it would be lovely to do, but I can't afford a kennel. I can't even feed myself. I feed my animal, so my animal is always fed, but I don't eat. I have to sacrifice, and I guess that's how I would be as a parent. I would sacrifice for my kids and say, I would rather do less to spend more time with the things and people who matter to me. And that's just how things are. It's sad. Because I'm missing out on a lot. I have no idea what happened in that film. Thunderbolts. I'm so fucking pissed. I have never really missed a Marvel film before. I can't believe I missed a Marvel film. Like, that's earth-shattering. I have PTSD, but not being able to see a Marvel film is pretty close in my head right now. And that's really depressing to say. Really fucked up. So I'm gonna have to accept that as the new normal. I'm just not gonna be able to afford Marvel films anymore. I'm not gonna be able to afford DC films. And I wanna see Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Are you kidding me? Supergirl above Superboy for me. I love that comic book. I really love that comic book. I always wanted them to do the Supergirl version that I always wanted. And DC has yet to do that. I'm hoping that this movie is successful. I'm hoping that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is successful, because if they get the opportunity to do a sequel, I am going to lobby the fuck out of DC and tell them I want this on screen. I want to visually see how wonderful it would be to see this entire storyline play out in a movie. I would love to see that. But oh well. Thank you, AC. I appreciate that. Right now, the only thing I'm good at is training service animals. Clearly, everybody in Los Angeles has seen me train my service animal. It's well discussed everywhere. Everybody in LA knows about my service animal being just a super dog. But either way, thank you everyone for coming by and listening to a veteran talk about PTSD, military sexual trauma, and change.org/Kentucky needs you. Thank you everyone. Have a good day.